Let me know when you're recording and ready.
I'm ready, man.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, man.
You ready, Freddie?
Yeah. So, guys,
Oh,
I'm joining Curator's server here. He is a very knowledgeable person on Enneagram. So, I asked him to type my Enneagram because a lot of people seem to say, "Hey, you're not an eight, you're a this, or I'm not an eight," and it's kind of Enneagram to me is very fluid. So I want to see what he and his team has to say. Some
yeah,
people says
yeah, yeah.
three, some people say eight, some people say six. So it'd be interesting to see, what they have over here. He's very knowledgeable in socionics and what is it, psycho? What is it?
Sophie? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's a few systems I've dabbled in, but yeah, we'll focus on Enneagram here today.
yeah. So if you guys want to join his server, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of great resources, there. Great community and very knowledgeable individuals. So I'll drop a link to that in the description. But yeah, let's go.
All right, let's start off with the good stuff. Your childhood, start to finish.
Start to finish. That is a difficult one. For the fact that when I was a kid, we were in child protective services. Yeah.
Mhm.
So my mom had her runnings with drugs and law problems, like cashing fake checks and shit. So we actually were sent to some other people that were considered family friends, family friends, and it was me, my older brother, and my younger brother. So it's a very different life. I grew up without a father. I don't even know who my father is to this day. So that's another different thing. My other siblings do know who their family fathers are. Um, but as a kid, I would say one thing about me was always very smart. That was like my number one thing, even back then. Wasn't so good with sports. I've always been the black person who people would say that's not black because I didn't have like the ability to be good at sports like basketball or football or things of that nature. When it came to like coordination, I was really bad. Um, but like for me as a person, I noticed probably as early as third grade that sports wasn't for me, and that if anything I was gonna do in my life, it was gonna be something brain related. So, um, third grade was an interesting year. That was the year I found out that I was dyslexic. There's a funny backstory to that. One of my friends had skipped a grade, right? He was like my best friend, and we were very competitive with like just grades and stuff like that. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna skip a grade too. So I'm like doing very good on a lot of tests and stuff like that. Highest grades in the class by far. And they're like, hey, we're setting up a parent teacher conference for you, right? And at this parent teacher conference, I'm like, I finally fucking made it, right? Like I finally made it. All the work I've done, uh, I'm about to be recognized, and I'm gonna skip to the fourth grade like my friend. And when I went into the parent teacher conference, everything, I'm excited, and they told me that hey, your son's dyslexic, and that he should probably try this dyslexic school. Now at this point in time, I have the highest grades in the class, like not even close, the highest grades in class. And to tell me that I had dyslexia, I felt a little bit angry. Um, and but the best thing about that is I ended up going to that dyslexic school, um, and I found this video game that I think changed my life forever. This game called Diablo 2. I don't know if you know about it. You ever played Diablo 2?
Heard of it?
You never played Diablo
No.
2? Oh my god, it's a fucking amazing game. It's like World of Warcraft. But at that school, if you were if you got your homework done faster than everybody else, you could like play video games on the computer. And one of the video games they had on the computer was Diablo 2. And being that I was always very smart, I was like, shit, I'll just do all my homework very quick. I mean, do all my work very quickly and just play, video games all day. So literally at this school, I was playing video games literally all day. And then like after a year, they kicked me out of that school because they said I was too smart to be there. And then now I'm back to regular school again, 5th grade. And at 5th grade, that's when they said, "Oh, this person's gifted." So it's quite a very funny scenario, man. You go from being called dyslexic to like going to an all dyslexic school, and in this dyslexic school, there were kids running around naked, man. I'll never forget that shit. I'm like, why the fuck am I here? Because I'm a little bit arrogant when it comes to like intelligence. I'm very arrogant on that. So I'm like, why am I here with people that's running around naked? Like this doesn't, it doesn't make any sense to me. But to me, I feel like overall, looking back at it, it was a very good time because it humbled me and allowed me to find different, like that game Diablo. Finding that game changed my life because of the fact that I believe the world operates very similar to that game. And the structure to getting rich in that game, you can apply that same structure from that game into real life. So that's why I say that game was very important. Childhood, so we're still going through that. We're at 5th grade now. 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, it's all the same shit. School, 8th grade, same shit. 9th grade, we're going to high school. At this point, they put you in the, if you're smart enough, they put you in the, AP classes. So at this point, I'm in AP classes, and go to college. I mean, not college. Go to 9th grade. Every school's pretty easy, man. School's pretty easy. Just doing the usual, hanging out, playing Halo 3. That's when Halo 3 was really big. So I got into Halo 3 with some of my buddies. We played that game a shitload. We got pretty good. Got 50s. I don't know, that's like the highest rank in the game. But there's a huge tier between like that and professional. We never got up to the rank of like playing on a professional level, but we were pretty good. Like if we went into any game, we pretty much dominate. And then got to college, man. And college is kind of like where like I feel like my personality flopped a little bit, right? I believe my earlier years I was introverted, but when I flipped over to like high school / college area, it flipped. And I became like extroverted. And man, went to college, and just, I knew that at that particular time I wanted to go to medical school, right? So I took all the medical school classes. Then I got done, was going to take the MCAT, and then I started looking at things, and I thought to myself, hey, if I do this, this is gonna be a very like hard path for me because of the simple fact that like you don't really have scholarships. My family's really poor. And then I will put all that burden on them as well. So I said, screw that. I'll take a different route because the end goal that I want I'm still able to get that. So it's okay for me to change routes because the end goal is still there at the end. But that's pretty much childhood, man. My childhood, I think I learned that I was never good really at anything besides being smart. That's the only thing that came easy to me when it came to like sports, communication, people, all that I always struggle with. And I tell people all the time, like, if you put me in a new environment or a new thing and I have to learn something new, I really struggle with that. But the thing about me is that, like, I'm a very focused person. So, like, I'll just do it over and over and over again until I get it. But I'm not, like, that person who, like, just picks it up the first time and is a genius. I'm usually the person who's the worst, but, like, because they have so much focus and commitment to, being good at something that you will achieve it over time.
That's pretty good information.
Mhm.
All right. Is there any like area of your life that you felt most vulnerable?
Hmm. I would say the most vulnerable part of my life was in childhood because the simple fact that, like I said, for me, I don't. I am the person who sucks at everything, right? I suck at everything. So for me, that's the most vulnerable period of time for me because I have not built up any of the skills or anything that I would have today, right? At this point in my life, I built so many skills that I'm no longer vulnerable pretty much with anything besides like the emotional level of things. Um, but as a kid, I felt as though I couldn't do nothing right when it came to like other aspects of life. When it came to like you know sports, um, just like overall people. Like I mean, there was times where I'll never forget. Like there was kids on the bus that were doing push-ups, and I was like I can't do a push-up. Like I just wanted to make sure that they like didn't like put me in the area. Like they were like doing push-ups. And they were like, "Hey guys, oh let's see who could do the most push-ups." And I was just like praying that they didn't ask me to do a push-up. So like that type of stuff was just not for me as a childhood, and that was the very vulnerable part for me. So when I got older, all I had worked on those things, and they're no longer a weakness for me.
Is weakness a big problem for you?
Weakness. Um. Hmm. Yeah, I would say yeah. I don't like to be weak. But like when you say weakness, I would rather just work on it so I'm not weak, right? I'll just if there's something I'm bad at, I don't mind putting in the work and the effort to be good at it. It's just like a mental thing with a vision. You have a vision of what you want and where you want to go, and you just do the work, and you become proficient and good at it. And the best thing about this world is that all you have to do is find the person who has perfected whatever it is or whatever task, and then use the skills that they use. And then over time, your intuition will also help you to make that system easier. Um, but yeah.
All right. Got some pretty good information here. So what do you think about rules?
I think in the confines of everything, rules have to exist, right? Rules do protect people from making huge blunders, right? Rules have to exist, um, but there's sometimes where you do have to break the rules to get ahead. Um, but rules do exist. I'm not opposed to rules, man. Especially like if they make sense. Like it's not like how can I say it? It's not like if everyone has to do it, then it's like it is what it is. It's no getting around. It's like taxes, you know, or anything. It's like you see rules and dude, they just exist. Like it is what it is. You just fall in line with the structure. Um, Unless you want to become the person who becomes so great that you change the structure, you can go that route. But that's a long journey there.
Okay, what about how do you deal with anger?
How do I deal with anger? Hmm. Hmm. So, what do you mean, like anger? Like, are you saying like someone has like made me angry, like grabbed me or something like that, or
Well, whenever you experience some sort of primal emotion of some sort, like, you know, just natural, of course, just you feel pissed off for some reason. What do you do?
I think that what do you do? I mean, you have to be logical there. Pretty much, you have to understand that anger and making stupid moves will cause you to get put in jail, right? So the only thing you can do is kind of put out your frustration, like, oh man, fuck this, or like, I'm fucking out of here, or like, I don't have to deal with this shit, like that type of thing. But when it comes to like physically putting your hands on something or hitting something, that's not like, I'm not doing that. Like, too many consequences for that shit, man. We live in a
So how do
day.
you cope if you don't how do you cope if you don't react like that?
How do I cope? I just vent out my
Yes.
frustration.
You what?
I'll just vent out my frustration. Like, fuck this shit, man. Like,
How do you do it?
I'll just say fuck this, and then like in 3 seconds, my anger's gone, man. Like, let's say if it's a shitty day at work or something, and it's just like a terrible day, I'll just say like, man, fuck this shit. God damn, we're getting fucking killed down here. But that's as far as it goes for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Are there any times when you just lose it?
No. Never, man. Never. Unless there's like alcohol, and then at the very least, like it never gets that way, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, man. The world doesn't play that shit, man. The world doesn't play that. One like fuck up like that, and your life's like done. Like the path to get to where you want to go in life becomes drastically harder, and all it takes is like one slip up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. That's pretty smart. What do you think of fear?
What do I think of fear? I think fear is a necessary thing. I kind of always I'm always preparing for the unknown a lot of times. Let's say for instance, like my buddy, he does the same thing as me, but I'll always keep at least a year's savings in my bank account because there's unknown situation that can happen from anywhere, and it's better to be in a position of power. Like, let's say something happened, you lose your job or something. If you got a year saving, then you can make the best decision possible with your future. But like, let's say if you are paycheck to paycheck at that particular time, you can't make the best decision possible. So I always put myself in the best position possible in aspects of my life that I can control. And I guess my friend Christian would say that's because out of fear. But it is what it is. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay. Um, hmm. Anything else you do?
Fear. I think like when you think about fear, I mean, I go to the gym because I pretty much fear that if I don't go to the gym, then I'm not going to be happy with myself. So that forces me to go to the gym. Um, I guess you could say um, there are a lot of actions in my life that may be a response to fear in itself. Um, but I see it as anticipation. Someone would say it's fear. I would see it as anticipation. Like, you got to be so forward thinking that you can see the potential things that could happen, and instead of being reactive, you're proactive.
Interesting in here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about responsibility?
How do I feel about responsibility? And what aspect, man? Like, like what? Like responsibility of a job, like responsibility of life, like responsibility.
Whatever
Um,
you choose.
mm, I just think you got to get things done, man. So I mean, if that's responsibility, you got to get things done. Unfortunately, like reputation is very important. So like you kind of have to take certain things. You have to take responsibility serious, but at the same time, I kind of hate when people try to put responsibilities on me. Right? I kind of hate that. Like, don't give me your responsibilities. But if like let's say for instance at work or something, I am the lead of that. So like responsibility, like I'm responsible for this. Like I have to get this done. This is attached to my like livelihood or whatnot. But like let's say like responsibility for other people, like man, I don't feel responsible for other people when it comes to like let's say outside of life. Like I'm not like, oh, this friend is with me, so I'm responsible for him. That's not. I don't think about that.
Okay. How do you feel about relaxation?
That doesn't exist, bro. There's no such thing as relaxation, bro. Like, what are you talking about? There's always something to work on. Like, there's always something to work on. Like, we're never exactly where we want to be. So, if you're not where you want to be, then you need to be doing active steps to get to where you want to be. Like, for instance, I have a goal every year of at least reading 40 books. At least 40 books. Okay, so if I got downtime, then you should be reading. You should be listening to a podcast. You should be, you know, like one of the areas that, like, let's say for instance, for us as a group, we're trying to go into is, Enneagram and stuff like that. So I should be reading Enneagram stuff. Um, or like there's endless things that you have to work on. There's never a time for relaxation. I really hate relaxation. I don't like vacations. I don't like any of that shit. Because when I'm on a vacation, my mind mentally sees me going backwards instead of forwards, right? So a vacation takes that away from me. I'm no longer moving forward in life. It's like, oh, I'm just relaxing here. And to me, it's kind of like I need to be drunk to be able to relax. I can't just relax as a person normally by himself.
How do you feel about loyalty?
That's very important, man. I think for myself, I think people misunderstand that about me. Is that like I'm extremely loyal to my team. I'm extremely loyal to my friends. Um, Once I allow someone to be a part of my circle, then I'm extremely loyal to them. Mm, like even this, I mean, there's some times where like my mind wants to just like cut anyone off, and it feels as though like it could cut anyone off, but I actually feel that as well. Sometimes I can get mad with somebody and be like, I'm never talking to this person again or something like that. But the truth is, like, if we've been in friendships for a long time, then it's I just need to be just relax and think about that. So like most of my friendships are at least like real life friends, at least 6, 7 years above.
All right, all right. I think of head somewhere here. Doing anything fun lately?
Me? Fun?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think fun really exists, man. To me, fun
You
doesn't exist.
serious?
Yeah, I don't think fun really exists, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just, to me, the constant pursuit of my goals is what's fun to me. Like, so is it fun? Like, as a person, the pursuit of my goals is what's fun. So, um, and I'm always doing that. So like things have never really changed. So I mean, is it like fun? I mean, I guess I can't really put a feeling on that. Am I a happy person? I would say yes, but is like life fun? I think I wouldn't change that for anything though, because that's what makes me happy. Like the constant pursuit of a goal is what makes me happy.
Yeah, I understand. How do you feel about external validation?
I love it, man. I love external validation. Unfortunately, man, that I mean, that's just something that it is what it is. Like it feels good to be accepted by other people. It feels good when other people say good things about you. It feels like external validation is great. Um, it makes me feel good, you know. Internal validation is good too, but like if you really like internal validation is good, but it's I think to me like people can become content and not like push for goals or push to get better in life. So I would rank my external validation way more important than my internal validation.
Okay. I understand what you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a pretty good indicator for your type as well. Let's see here. Anything else? Yeah, sorry if this is a bit quick.
Nah, man, it's good, man.
I kind of do things fast. Um,
Yeah, that's perfect, dude. Like, it's
I was trying to spread it out for some more content for your channel, but I think I have it.
go for it, man. What is it?
I'm gonna send in the chat,
Oh, I
and
can't.
I'll answer any questions.
Oh, you gonna say in the
Oh, you can't
chat?
pull up the chat?
I can't pull up the chat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I'll,
you
I'll
could just
run
say
through it
it.
and I'll send it there, and you can read it later, as well. But I'll answer any questions you have. But there's some interesting sources there as well that should help. So I have you as social self-preservation 3. So social
Social.
dominant
Mm-hmm.
and self-preservation second, meaning SX blind, but also Enneagram 3. I also have you as 3-wing 4,
3 wing 4. Okay.
because there's a difference between the 3-wing 4 and 3-wing 2. The 3-wing 2, they're going to be more emotional and spontaneous comparatively. Whereas the 3-wing 4, they really put more effort on they put more importance on their self-esteem wise on work and career success
Mm-hmm.
rather than their personal qualities, which is something that you clearly demonstrated. So you have that, and then when it came to the tri type of, I gave you 3, 1, 6.
Three,
And you
one,
may
six.
find that surprising because I know you were on 8 and 5 before.
Yeah.
But the things that you said that pointed me towards that direction, that went in towards the 6, is that your perspective towards problems and stuff like that. Like, let's see, I had something in here. Always prepared for the unknown, always keeps a year's saving in bank account. Whereas if you're paycheck to paycheck, you can't make the best decision possible. This told me either 5 or 6, but it does lean 6 in regards to they have a lot of things. 6 is focused around anxiety. What they'll do is they'll be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very common trait of them. They're also known as loyalists.
Okay.
It's not your core type, but there is an aspect in there. Other than that, there was also the attitude towards. Well, actually, is that enough for 6, or do you need anything
Oh
else?
no, that's good. I kind of figured 6 because I was kind of going between, am I like a 6? You know, to me, I could have been. I think as I read more, 8 didn't make as much sense because I'm not very impulsive. So
Mhm.
if you're not an impulsive person, then you're most likely not an 8. But I also read that social 3s can take on the image of an 8. And also the 6s, the sexual, can take on the image of an 8. So that makes sense, man.
Yeah, the social. Yeah, so sexual 6 wants to be an 8. Social 3, image certainly. They're the most aggressive 3 there is.
Mm-hmm.
They're also supposed to be the most cold because of the social instinct. So, as far as the social instinct being developed, it actually comes from the way you approached what you viewed as your biggest problem in your childhood. It was like it came down to that social ostracization of sorts, where you felt like you weren't as good as other people in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you demonstrated.
Yeah, it does
The
true.
self-preservation's second. I mean, that seems pretty obvious based on their earlier things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's yeah. So there's that part. And then regarding the Enneagram tri-type, the 3, 1, 6, I believe there is more. You do put I have the 1 over the 6 because I do believe there's more of an emphasis on that aspect. Now, theoretically, you could switch to 3, 6, 1, but I think 3, 1, 6 is a pretty good route. So with the 1, it came down to I asked you about how you dealt with your anger, and there was like no implosion whatsoever, which rules out both 9 and 8. Because yeah, I mean, like I don't. You said the thing about coping where you just say "fuck this shit" or whatever.
Yeah.
I suspect you also internalize it into your work.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very common trait for ones. Not saying you're a 1 core, just how you deal with anger is that part.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why it's in your
makes sense.
tri type. And unless losing it under the alcohol, so you have to remove that sort of inhibition.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like 8s don't really have inhibition when it comes to their anger.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of just you feel it, let it out right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's good in some ways, but it's also bad in some ways. Similarly, you can say that about any type. So, other than that, there was also the way that you approached rules. It was in a very compliant way. I wasn't sure yet just from that, but the rest of the stuff did kind of point in that direction as well.
Yeah. I think like rules. What are you gonna do, bro? Like you can break
Yeah, I
rules.
agree.
Like I'm gonna break the rules that I deem necessary, but like at the same time, you gotta measure up the consequences, right? And be cognitive of the consequences. Like if it's like a little small rule or something, yeah, like if you have to break the rules to get ahead, then go for it. But if it's something big, like potentially just derailing your future, yeah, you need to stop. Like that, yeah, or like
Yeah, there was also this little side note about relaxation. You'll see this if you go through the description, but it says too much pressure can make them. This is for the combination of 1 and 6, especially 1, 3, 6, or at least that combination. Too much pressure can make them irritable and exhausted, so they need to learn to take some time off to relax. Little growth tip for you.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because sometimes to me it's never taking time off. taking time off for me is just like readjusting and getting ready for the next cycle of days, right?
Hmm.
So just like resetting and going, but at the same time I'm always like doing something. Like there's always like reading or something, because reading kind of, I guess, is relaxation for me, or like listening to like books or whatever, or audiobooks, or just that type of stuff. That's more of the relaxation that I get from. Other people would say that's not relaxation, but to me it is relaxation. um, Furthering your competence and your knowledge.
All right. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, I would say it's pretty good, man. Like that's
Yeah. Feel free to ask more questions while
yeah.
you have me.
No, man. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I mean, I kind of was leaning, 3, or 6, after like eight being impulsive and stuff, and like most likely they probably have some jail problem or something, or been in jail or something. Um,
Yeah, there is something about that. So here's what you reminded me of now, just now. I know a friend of mine who's a social three, and something you said that reminded me a bit of that was like, you said learned you were never good at anything besides being smart. Struggles with learning new things, but you'll focus until you get it down. What he does is like if he's suddenly the social three friend of mine is if he has a task that he's not prepared for, he'll accept it and then he'll instantly scramble to try to learn it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You gotta
that's just a little connection there.
yeah. You gotta learn it quick. Like remember I told you during your typing session with us, is that preparation is the most important thing. Like if you have that preparation, then a lot of the battles are already won. So like a lot of time, whenever I am doing something, I've already done the work before to automatically guarantee my success. You won't ever see me just like winging it or something like that. It's like the battle is already won. That's why I can kind of show up with confidence and that type of thing. Um, so yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Um, yeah, I'll check out what you left in the comments, man. And thank
Yeah,
you
I'll send
again.
that in DMs as well, so you can check it out easier.
Yeah, and thank you again for doing this. I don't know who the other person is, but thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And man, keep it up, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll recommend Enneagram stuff to my group for you, if you're cool with that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of here, man. Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right. See ya.
All right,
Fun.
man.